Hi, welcome back to another Fake True Stories of Landscape, the finale. So, when I left off, Jeff Cullen had just landed a huge tidal wave, smashing Kim Jun Un into the ground, and the sharks were gnawing at him as he was walking away stoically. But when all had seemed, you know, yay and happy, and Kim Jong Un had been defeated, uh, shark bodies were being tossed left and right, and he stood up, and Jeff Cullen turned around and said, "Oh no." So we'll pick up from there. So Kim Jong Un, Kim Jong Un sounds like a dish. Anyway, he jumped, and when I say jumped, it was like supersonic speeds at Jeff Cullen. Jeff, always the wiser man, used his surfboard to deflect most of the attack, and it snapped the surfboard in half. And Jeff got delivered a punch right to his chin and went flipping over himself. Well, that gave me a large opportunity to get out of there, and I took it. And I just ran as fast as my little feet could take me. And I looked around at all these knocked out sharks. They looked like they were straight out of a cartoon, like lying like that. It was terrifying. And so I rounded Harrison and tried to make my way down towards my house. And he showed back up right in front of me, and he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "To find the king of Orange Beach." And I pooped myself. So then he picked me up, and he said, "You take me with you." I said, "Sure, I'll do that." And I looked, and we were now flying into the air. And I looked over towards the rec center, and all of my landscape fellow employees were getting up, and they looked ready to fight. And selflessly, I decided to launch myself in their direction so that they could selflessly protect me, and I will selfishly get out of there. Selflessly. So I said, why don't we head back towards the rec center, because that might be where the king of Orange Beach is. I'm pretty sure. And he said, "I've already been there." And I said, he could have showed up in the meantime. And so he's like, okay. And then we went back to the rec center, and right on cue, Ryan Owen had that same anti-tank rifle pistol in his hand and unloaded it into Kim Jong Un. It was like master marksman, because like one bullet here, one here, like all the way down my body, but not hitting me at all. Not even the shock wave I could feel. I mean, maybe a little bit from my hair, but that was it. And he just dropped me. I was only 20 feet in the air, so it wasn't, too big of a deal. It was only a traumatic fall. Who cares? And he fell to the ground and just landed with a huge thud. And he was displeased, obviously, because he said, and then some other, language. I mean, I'm terrible. I know it sounds racist, and I'm sorry. But that's the way he sounded when he went down. And then, like, out of nowhere, I saw Dalton come at him like a lightning bolt hitting the earth, and he kept slamming over and over and over again his fists and his axe into Kim Jong Un. And then Eddie, Kyle Cooper, and Ryan were all on top of Kim Jong Un, just emptying, bullets, chains. Kyle Cooper had put two chainsaws together in a chain, and it was like a nunchuck chainsaw. It was wild, but he was using it in Bruce Lee fashion. And then Eddie Osborne had developed like this turbo punch that he was using repeatedly on Kim Jun Un's crotch area. It didn't look pleasing to the eye. And then I looked over at my boss, John Davis, and he had transformed into this even larger Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it had the face of a tiger, all blue and orange, and then the wings, of course, were the eagles. But now there were just like 6 or 7 sets of eagle wings, and then his hands. I mean, they were small anyway, but they were like covered in claws. And he also came over there to gnaw and claw up Kim Jun Un. And so I noticed that my legs weren't working. Guess that fall really took it out of me. And so I tried to crawl backwards as much as I could away from and distance myself from the situation at hand. And I didn't make it but 10 feet until all of the landscape coworkers were on the ground, knocked out. Kim Jun Un stood up and knocked them all out. It was astounding. I think the only one that he had trouble with was Dalton, because Dalton could take a hit, and it might have taken a couple hits to take him out. But wow, he's just so strong. And his eyes, the Kim Jun Un's eyes had changed. They were deep red, like communism, deep red. And he came over to me and he said, "You tricked me." And I said, "Why do you sound Japanese now? You're no longer..." Okay, never mind. I didn't mean to. He said, "Oh, your legs are broken." I said, "Yes, they are terribly broken. Can't do anything about that. So maybe you find somebody else to get you the king of Orange Beach." He said, "Oh, I take care of this." And he bit me. And I thought he was going to kill me or something. But then I felt searing pain in my arm, and it spread throughout my body. And I said, "What'd you do to me? It hurt so bad." He said, "You'll be fine." And soon enough, I was floating off the ground. And I looked at my body, and it got real pale, and 2 massive sharp teeth protruded. And I said, "You made me into a vampire." And he said, "Yes, I am a vampire." I said, "What is going on? Why is this happening to me?" He said, "Now tell me where the king of Orange Beach is." And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "You are lying." And he grabbed me and he shook me. And then behind me, I noticed that everybody was regrouping, but much slower this time. And I was like, "Come on, guys, help. What do I do?" And then something very mysterious happened, because it was so supernatural. It was ridiculous. A guy we used to work with appeared out of thin air and grabbed a hold of Kim Jun Un. And Kim Jun Un was like, "What is this? What is this?" And one of our dead friends, may he rest in peace, Terry Walker, was holding him in place with some sort of ghost strength. And he looked at me and said, "What's up, man?" I said, Is that English you're speaking?" He said, "Oh, don't worry about that. You go ahead and get on. I'll take care of that." I said, "What did you just say?" And he said, "Come on, I'll take care of it." And I said, "Okay." So I floated off in the direction opposite of that confrontation. And they just sat there in midair struggling. All I heard was, and then I didn't. It was as if I can't even give it an accurate description, because it was just so insane. And so I floated, and then I got on the ground and I tried to run away. But I noticed as soon as I got out of the cloud covering surrounding Kim Jun Un into the light, it burned. It burned my hand. I said, ah! So I went back into the cloud covering. I said, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. And I was like, this is it. I'm gonna die. I can't live like this. Vampires, I'm assuming, drink blood. I didn't want to live like that. So I flew off. I went back, and they were still having their, mindless argument up top. And I saw the guys on the ground, and they all looked at me. And Ryan said, "Are you a vampire?" I said, "I guess. I don't know." And he immediately held a gun to my head, and he said, "I can't let you live." And John Davis just, hold on a second. Well, at least you're in better fighting condition. I said, I mean, as a vampire, I don't. How do we kill this guy? He's stronger than you guys. He said, there's only one way to kill Kim Jun Un, vampire communist leader. I said, how? We got to get him in the sun. I said, the actual sun? He said, no, just get him out of this cloud and burst into flame. I said, okay, well, how do we do that? He seems to think you know where the king of Orange Beach is. That's John talking. So, he'll follow you wherever you tell him to go. Yeah, I don't think you understand. That cloud's going to follow him wherever he goes. We'll take care of that. And John took the hat back off, put it back on, and he now was a giant eagle. And it said, like, War Eagle all over his body. I don't know what that means, but it was all over his body. And he looked at me with his giant beak, and he said, "Weagle, baby." I said, "Weagle." And he just took off into the sky. And I looked over at Ryan, and Ryan said, "Oh, I got this." And he started singing. And when Ryan sings, it's either incredibly interesting or terrible. And it was so terrible that it was actually sending these shockwaves off into the distance, and it was disrupting the clouds. And I looked over, and he's like, "I got this too." And he did this like horn alarm thing, and that shot shockwaves off into the clouds. And I looked over at Kyle, and I said, "Yeah, I can't help with all this." And he just kind of walked off and grabbed a beautiful young woman and just walked off with her. And I said, "Are we still on the clock?" Well, anyway, Terry eventually disapparated, and all I heard was, "Yeah, good luck." I said, "Oh, I understood the good luck." And then Kim Jun Un immediately focused in on me, and he forgot about the other two and came at me. Well, Dalton really didn't get the memo, so Dalton came up and sucker punched him right in the face, and it crushed his face. His face actually concaved, but it wasn't enough, and Kim Jun Un just took him and tossed him off into Gulf Shores, and Kim Jun Un grabbed me and said, "Where's the king of Orange Beach?" And I said, "He is 5 nautical miles